Hi, and welcome to this video of Dynamics 365 Talk, where I'll be talking about Power Virtual Agent, which is Microsoft's version of a chatbot. Now, one of the major advantages you get with Power Virtual Agent is that users or admins can configure the bot using a very simple, easy to use interface without the need of code. So that means that we won't really need developers anymore because again we can just go ahead and configure the bot without any of that code necessity. Now before we dive into that, I just wanted to introduce myself real quick. My name is Dion Taylor. You can take a look at my blog on d365goddess.com or just follow me on Twitter, and if you want to go ahead and connect on LinkedIn, just feel free to scan that QR code and I would be happy to connect with you. So let's get started. Now, Power Virtual Agent, it's made up of several different components, right? So I wanted to kind of look at each of those individual components and see how it's used in the actual application. So as you can see here on the screenshot, it's very similar to the navigation that we're used to, right? We're going to have on the left-hand side that sitemap where we can basically go and look at different areas, right? We see home, topics, entities, analytics, publish, and then we see manage as well. So we're going to talk about some of these things that you see here. Now, topics are, think about those as like conversation paths, right? Basically saying I have maybe one question, I get an answer to that question, and depending on what my answer is, I'm going to take a particular path. So it really allows users and customers that interact with the bot to have that conversation that feels natural and that flows appropriately, obviously, as well. Now, we can configure these topics using the authoring canvas, and we'll show you that in a second as well. And then each topic can have several trigger phrases. So again, that's also something we'll talk about in a second here as well. We also have something that's called suggested topics. And what that means is you can actually leverage existing web content to create new topics. Now, what that means is that you would need to have a website that is in the form of, an FAQ where you have an answer and then you have a question. And then you can import that into Power Virtual Agents. You still need to go in there afterwards and then kind of like approve those topics and then maybe tweak it a little bit, but that's how you can very quickly import and create new topics. Now, when you're signing up for this and when that bot is first created, the system automatically creates a number of lesson topics, and they're used to to teach basically the Power Virtual Agents administrator how to create content, right, for PVA. So you should not use them for production use. Again, it's just to kind of show you how that works out of the box. Now, trigger phrases. Each topic can have one or more trigger phrases, and what those are, they're like keywords or questions or phrases, obviously, that a user or customer is very likely to ask in regards to a specific issue. Now, Power Virtual Agents will then route a user to a topic that is based on those trigger phrases. Now, a big part of conversation is around natural language understanding, which is the ability for AI to understand what the intent is of that customer that's conversing with PVA. So for example, somebody might type in, hey, I tried to use my gift card, but it didn't work. And then PVA will still be able to route that customer to the gift card topic, even if that exact phrase isn't listed as a trigger phrase. So it doesn't have to be an exact phrase. So keep that in mind as well. And of course, as users are or customers are using PVA and they're talking to it, it kind of learns from that as well. Now, the authoring canvas, this is what that looks like. This is where topic writers will spend probably most of their time, because this is where you're going to set up your questions, your answers, your actions. All of that will happen right here in the authoring canvas. So admins can type in, right, the questions that PVA is going to ask the customer. We can configure responses. We can capture the answers that we're getting, perform actions, right? Maybe have uh, the system do something, trigger a Power Automate flow, right? All of that is happening right here in the authoring canvas. So let's take a look, right, what that looks like, or at least part of that looks like. So what you see over here is a message. This is usually what it starts with when you start setting up a topic. So you can kind of see here, right, what is one. That's that area where you can format that message or that question. You can see that little dot there. It says, it gives you several options that's happening after this particular message, right? So I can ask a question, and that's really the question from PVA, right? Then we can also actually capture the response from the customer in something that is called a variable, and then we can use that variable later on. So for example, we can have the PVA ask, what is your first name? And you can type that in. My first name is whatever, Jack. And then you can catch that variable, and later, and maybe in a second question or later on, you can say, okay, Jack, right? So you're pulling that information back. You can call an action as well. That allows you to trigger outside logic. So this could be from Power Automate or from skills. And skills are a series of actions which can be built using the bot framework. So yes, you can use code, you just don't have to use code, but it is an option in here as well. And then just showing a message, right? Number 4, we can do that as well. We're not capturing any data from the customer. They don't have to type anything. We're just showing a message. Then you have 5, going to another topic, right? So you can have PVA direct, or redirect, I should say, the user from one topic to another one. Or you can end the conversation, and that could be ending it with a survey, or you can even transfer to a live agent. So, all right, so let's take a look at that, what that looks like. So I'm going to start by showing you the conversation first that I'm going to have here with PVA. So I'm going to type in, I love, Star Wars, and let's have that conversation. And then after that, I will show you what that looks like in the actual PVA admin side. Okay, so it's asking us, how are we planning to use the Force? So let's go ahead and go to the dark side. Why do you want to join the dark side? I want to kick Kylo Ren's behind, or I want to rule the universe. So let's do that. Rule the universe. Sounds a little selfish to me. Maybe you should reconsider. Why do you want to join the dark side? So what you see here is a loop. If I pick something, it's going to continuously, right, ask me the same thing. So let's pick another one here. Kick Kylo Ren's behind. Awesome, I never liked the guy. And then it's asking me to pick a weapon. I don't need a weapon. I want a red lightsaber, a Sith sword. Okay, let's do that. Right, so now I'm actually saying I want a Sith sword, and now it's actually taking that value and repeating it, right? Great choice. I love whatever you just picked. Pick your partner in crime. Let's say Darth Vader. There we go. Okay, and now it's showing me a message, basically summing up everything that I just picked. I want to join the dark side, to kick Kylo Ren's behind. My partner is Darth Vader, and my weapon is a Sith sword. Do you want me to email that to you? So then I can say yes. And what it's doing right now is it's actually activating Flow after I put my email address in here. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and do that. And now it's going to pass that information to Flow. It's going to call that action, pass that to Flow, and actually send me that email. And then, did that answer your question, right? We're kind of ending it at this particular point. So now let's take a look what that looks like under the hood. So let me go into Power Virtual Agents. And here we are. And I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger here. Okay, so you see here the different areas that we have: home, topics, entities, etc. I'm going to directly go into topics. And you will see here that I don't have any of those learning topics because I already spun this up before that was added. I actually have system topics here. So, and again, those learning topics are really to kind of understand, right, how that works. So let's take a look at that Star Wars, there we go, topic. And you'll see here that these are my trigger phrases. And you can see that I love Star Wars is not one of them. But because I've used that before and before and before and more and more and more, it's now recognizing that. And then let's take a look at the authoring canvas. So this is where the magic happens. I'm actually going to close this test bot here so we have a little bit more screen real estate. Okay, so we can see here we have our trigger phrases right up here. Then this is that comment, right? Hello, my little Padawan. I hope all is well with you. And then we have the question right over here. So I can put in options. As you can see here, this is like an option set, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, how that's set up. But basically, because I have two options, either dark side or light side, you can see here, this is my conversation path. I can either go this way if I pick light side, or this way if I pick dark side. And since that's what we picked, let's take a look at that, right? After that question, it's going to ask us, why do you want to join the dark side, right? This is what we saw. I want to rule the universe or kick Kylo Ren's behind. So let's go this way, right? This is where we're saving that response as a variable. And you can see here that I actually renamed that variable so that I actually know what it is. So dark side reason equals rule the universe. And then you can see that this is now actually going back, right? You see this line here to this question. So this is that loop that I created. Now, if we're picking this, kick Kylo Ren's behind, it's saying, awesome, I never liked the guy, right? Pick a weapon. Again, now it's basically showing me those four things. And I'm saying, if you don't need a weapon, we're going to go over here. And whatever you pick, it's going to say, great choice. I love the dark weapon. That's that response, right? Whatever that person put in. And then, again, we're going whatever. It doesn't matter if I say I don't need a weapon or whatever other condition. I'm going to go back to this question. Pick your partner in crime, either these two guys, and now it's putting together everything that was just typed in. So you want me to join me in the whatever we picked, force usage. Then 2, why do we want to pick dark side reason? Partner requirements is dark partner, right? That's what we have over here. And then we have a weapon, which is dark weapon. So we save that as well. Do you want to email that to you? Yes or no? If it is yes, then it's asking me for email address. And then I actually am going to call an action where I'm going to capture the email address, the dark side, whatever that person typed in for dark side or selected. Dark side reason, dark partner, dark weapon. So what we're doing here is, you can see here it says Power Automate inputs. So I'm sending this information from PVA to Power Automate. And then as you can see here, this is where I'm calling that flow, grabbing that data from PVA, sending it to flow. In this particular case, we're sending an email. And then here it's saying, thank you, the email has been sent to whatever that email address is that you just typed in. So that's what that configuration looks like when you actually look under the hood for PVA. Now, the other thing that we can do, as you can see here in the screenshot, is we can actually have the bot skip questions. So it doesn't really have to follow that script or whatever you want to call it blindly, right? It really can use all the information it has, everything that the customer told PVA, to kind of decide whether to ask a question or whether to skip them. So for example, if a customer already gave us information earlier in the conversation, right, because we can save that information as that variable it will kind of like remember that and then skip asking for that information again. Now, for any chatbot to be actionable, obviously it has to be smart, right? It has to understand what customers are saying and what they're referring to. So Power Virtual Agent comes with a set of pre-built entities which represent the most commonly used stereotype of information in those real world conversations, right, that they're having with those customers, such as age and color and number and names, etc. So what this does is help PVA recognize the relevant information from a input perspective, right? From that customer input. And it even allows us, like we said earlier, to save that for future use. So think of entities as a way to tell PVA what exactly to look for, right, in an unstructured text. So here's two examples of that out of the box entities that come with the system, right? So we can see here point of interest, right? I want to climb Mount Everest. So the actual saved value would be Mount Everest. If we're telling it, hey, we're looking for temperature, then if somebody says like it's 32 Fahrenheit outside, it's going to save 32, right? Because it knows that it's looking for a temperature type of answer. Now we can also create our own custom entities, which is a little bit different from what I just showed you. When we're actually creating our own custom entities, it's more of like a list of items. So now you're telling the bot, hey, the answer that we're going to get from the customer is going to be something that I have in this particular list. So we're kind of grouping or even categorizing all of these items together. So for example, this one, right, that you see over here, if you're building a bot to kind of handle questions about lawns, you might have an entity that's called, right, lawn concerns, with values such as brown spots, lawn pests, fertilization, etc., right? So by grouping these items in one list, it's allowing PVA to more easily understand the data that's entered and what to look for. Then we also have, as you can see, that smart match option, which is part of the intelligence that is supported by PVA's language understanding model. So it really provides the flexibility to let PVA take in that customer input in a kind of fuzzy way based on the list of items, right, that we have in that entity. And when this toggle is on, it lets the bot recognize items in the list, even if the customer misspells a word or when they use a similar word, such as matching a word as job to, for example, to career. And then we have the synonyms, which allow us to manually kind of expand that matching logic, right? So both of them together make PVA obviously a lot smarter. So let's navigate to those entities. So here's kind of where you see some of the pre-built entities, right? City, color, date and time, duration, email addresses, right? And then you can see here I have, let me go to my Star Wars one. These are all of the items in my Star Wars list. Dark side, light side, etc. So you can see that there's a lot of different ones over here. Now let's go and take a look at that Star Wars topic. So if I go down here, this is where we can set or basically point to those entities, right? And that's what I did here. Normally when you create a new question, it automatically puts in that multiple choice options. But this is where you can point to those entities. You can see here, these are the pre-built entities, right? Age, Boolean, city, etc. But what I ended up doing is I actually pointed it, as you can see here, to that Star Wars, as you can see, entity. And you can see here that I have 18 items in there. Then what I can do is, as you can see here, it says options for user. These are all of the items in the list, and I can select which one I want to give or which one I want to use as an option. So that's what I did. And then again, like we said earlier, if somebody misspells dark side, right, the system is still going to recognize that because we're using that smart matching. And then if I scroll down, I'm asking at one particular point for an email address. Here we go. Do you want me to email it to you? And then here we go. Enter a valid email address. So now here, what I'm doing is I'm telling the bot PVA that we're looking for an email address. So now it's going to make sure, first of all, that it actually is in the right format. But also, if somebody types in my email address is, and then whatever that is, it's only going to extract that email address and not that entire sentence, right? Now, as we are building, right, this topic, we can also do some testing here in line. So I can actually start using here my test bot. So let's do that. And then it's going to show us where we are at in that topic. So I'm going to do again, I love Star Wars. And just give it a second here. And here we go. This is where we're at, right? That's that green check mark, right? So then we can, are you planning to use the Force? Let's go to the light side here. Oh, and by the way, let's also kind of keep track of our variables so we can test that. Let's go to the light side, right? That's what we did. And you can see here now that it's saved light side, that what we just entered here, in that variable right over here. So let's go ahead and say we want to meet Yoda because he seems cool. And then you will see that that would actually be captured in this next variable here, Y light side. There we go. We're skipping dark side reason because that was the other side. We're not getting to that. Pick your weapon. Okay, what do we want? We want a polka dot lightsaber. And again, you will see here that polka dot lightsaber. And then again, I'm going to pick Han Solo. We just want to get to that next section here. And then you can see, again, all of those items directly here. Now we can also, like I talked about earlier, the bot can be smart, right? So I'm actually going to show you here my identify and detect lawn issue. I'm going to reset this right over here. So you can see here that it says, right, we can just, hey, I can help you with your lawn concerns. What is the issue? Brown spots, weeds, and then it's going to, right, basically go and each one of those, right? Either brown spots or weeds. It's going to show us a message, and then it's going to ask for an email address. So let's go ahead and try that. I'm going to say, and let's move that up here. I am having some problems with my garden. So you can see again that it's not exactly that trigger phrase, right? And it's still going to pick that up. And then again, I can just go ahead and pick any of those. So like we said earlier, I wanted to show you guys that we can actually go ahead and have the bot skip the question. So if I click on this, I can choose whether or not I want it to be able to skip it or ask that question anytime. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to say something about weeds. And then what it should do is skip this question and go directly here to my weeds section. So let's go ahead and type in, I have weeds in my garden. Let's see what it does from here. Boom, that's exactly what it did. So it did not ask me, hey, I can help you with your lawn concerns. What is the issue? It immediately jumped because it saw that I was looking for information in regards to weeds. Now it's asking me for an email address. So I'm going to say my email address is deonda.taylor@d365goddess.com. And I'm going to send that, and then we're going to see what it's actually going to save in that email address. Here we go, right? I typed in my email address is, it filtered that out because it knows it's looking for, right, an email address type of answer, and here it is. Now let's talk about publishing that bot, right? You want to be able to have your customers access the bot. So these are all the different platforms or channels, whatever you'd like to call them, where you can publish this bot. So you just saw earlier that I started with the demo website. So this is really not for production. This is really to kind of test it out and give your team members access to it so they can help you test that out. You can publish this on a custom website. Obviously, you can use this for Microsoft portals, or if you're using an ISV portal, for example, like the portal connector, you can put it on there as well, or any other custom website you might have, mobile apps, Facebook Messenger, etc. So there's a lot out there right now, and I'm guessing, we're going to have a lot more of those channels. Now, the other thing that you need to understand is that whenever you're updating things in your bot, you need to go ahead and you need to publish that in here as well. And you do that by clicking over here, right? So let me go to publish. And again, you need to click this publish button over here. Now it is going to push all of those changes out to wherever I have my bot published. And as you can see here, this then gives you that link to that demo website so that you can kind of test that out. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention real quick is the analytics here. So you can kind of see here that it's going to load this here in a second. So we're going to be able to kind of take a look at those analytics, right? You can see the last 30 days, the last 7 days, etc. And you can see you have here your overall, all of your Power BI reporting here. And I can take a look at customer satisfaction, sessions, etc., all of that. I can also drill into my topics, and you can see here that each of those topics also have their own analytics that you can kind of take a look at. And this is really allowing you to kind of see, how are we doing? Are there any areas of improvement? Do we need to make some changes to those topics, right? All of that is here directly in that analytics section. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was beneficial. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button for me and make sure to tune in next week for another video. Thank you so much for watching.